Assalamu alaikum everyone. We are back with another episode of Bookish banter. Today we have a BBA student with us, Ruhail Amir. Please introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Ruhail Amir. I am from BBA 3G and thank you very much Aiza for having me today with you.
That's what happens when you read too much of a Stephen King book. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay, works. It did. Till then, Ruhail, जो आपने इतना सारा collection बना के जो खड़ा किया हुआ इमारत,
yes,
जो किसी भी वक्त गिर सकती है,
yes.
तो आपका इन बुक्स के बारे में क्या ख्याल है? मतलब सारी पढ़ी हैं?
Okay, so I have not read all of them. मैंने सारी नहीं पढ़ी, but I have read most of them. And the thing is that I started reading, just to give you some background, I started reading like seriously about 2.5-3 years ago maybe. And one of the things I really ingrained in myself very early on is that when I do start reading, I want to read, you know, things of different types, different genres. I want to change gears every now and then. I don't want to stick to one thing. And I've recently found that I've really found like a niche in regards to the horror genre, which I find is not really prevalent here in Pakistan. At least like, you don't hear people talk about it.
Not.
So I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to share about my interest of the horror genre.
We'd love to hear about it.
And start off with who I would say is the king of horror, probably the tip of the iceberg, the person I would say is the gateway to horror, which is Stephen King.
Y'all, you know what? I really want someone to appreciate me like this, introduce me like this. It's gonna be so nice. But yeah, the king of horror. But you know, you hear Ruhail, you are right कि यहाँ पे जब अगर horror genre के बारे में बात करो, इतना एक अजीब सा judgmental सा look मिलता है. Because they're like, why do you need to read horror? एक पहले तो यही होता है, like you could just go and watch a movie or a series.
There's no awareness. There's no awareness to begin with. You can't even judge if there's no awareness. Like लोग को पता ही नहीं होता कि ये कोई चीज है भी. I mean, if you're tunnel visioned into Colleen Hoover, तो फिर आप क्या कर सकते हैं? You know, you're lost.
Oh my God. No offense everyone. ठीक है, जो भी viewer है, जिसे Colleen Hoover की books पसंद है. Okay, नहीं मेरी तरफ से intended नहीं है. I actually like Verity. I like the book Verity. ठीक है ना, तो no such intention from host की side. ठीक है, I have to continue my episodes. I cannot just bash, you know, other authors.
Sure.
Ka PR. But the thing is, yeah, but I mean, like for example, if you are like that you want to encourage someone, for instance, a friend of yours, and you're like, you know, you tell them the whole about the book and like, you know, the book is nice and like all the even the logical reasons why it's nice and blah blah, and then they tell you कि भाई अब जब मुझे हॉरर किताब ही पढ़नी है कोई ऐसी जिसमें हॉरर जॉनर एलिमेंट आ रहा है, ठीक है, तो फिर मैं जाके कोई किताब के बजाय कोई मूवी ही ना देख लूँ, कोई सीरीज ही ना देख लूँ, कोई ड्रामा ही ना देख लूँ, ये बोल के देखो उनकी रीजनिंग भी हो सकती है कि भाई लाइक यू गेट द फीलिंग्स लाइक वो ज़्यादा आपको अफेक्ट करती हैं, तो देन हाउ वुड यू लाइक ट्राई टू encourage them to still read the book?
I mean, you can make that argument for about any genre, I would say. Like, why would you read romance when you can just watch romance? You know, there's the inherent thing of watching something explicitly happen versus, you know, reading about it. So for me, the thing about King and why I think he's a good gateway to people who are not familiar with this genre to kind of tiptoe and just test the waters is that his books, having read a fair bunch of them, they're not really scary per se. They very much prioritize story and character. It's very much about the drama that the characters are put in, the emotional turmoil the situation puts them in. That's the scary part.
Are you gonna put us in that situation too during this episode?
I hope not, but if I do, it will be an excellent byproduct of this whole thing. But like for example, there's a lot of variety in the horror genre. You have the independent circuit, you have your mainstream books, you have your supernatural books, you have your pure gore fests. You get a little bit of that here and there with King, but ultimately I would say his books are very much dramas first, horror second. So it's really interesting to just see like the way he explores the human nature from addiction to grief to depression to all these sort of things through the lens of a horror genre.
We need these books in my psychology courses. I've had enough of the current जो भी syllabus चल रहा है. It just gets boring at times. So I believe.
And
stories, it's good.
Yeah. And the thing with Stephen King is he has such a huge bibliography. He's been working since the 70s. He has like he has like 2-3 books a year he releases.
A year?
He has an insane work ethic. He is on record for saying he writes about 2,000 to 6,000 words a day. And he had a huge period of his career where he was a complete cocaine-fueled addict. So that influenced his writing in not such good ways. So to your point of the psychology thing, Yeah, I guess it would benefit you to read
Just
some of his books.
मैं बहुत ही गलत decision पे जा रही थी. He could have, you know, just not encouraged me to do so. But yeah, here he is telling me about all that.
One of his most
कैसे?
okay, so like for example, one of his most influential stories, It, for example, everybody knows It. The second half of It he wrote while he was doing cocaine. That's why a lot of people say that the second half of It really goes off the rails. So I mean that just
Oh
goes
my
to show like,
God.
but my point being, he's had such a rich history with literature in general. He has written, besides horror, he's written fantasy, he's written, you know, serial killer investigation stories, he's written hitman stories, crime dramas, he's written sci-fi for children.
What's left?
He's even written dramas like Shawshank Redemption, the movie. It's based off of a short story he wrote, and Shawshank Redemption is a pure drama, you know.
And then उसकी स्टीफन की जो short stories हैं, which one is your like favorite तो नहीं, but like जो बहुत अच्छे से उसने लिखी according to your point of view?
I have not read any of Stephen King's short stories yet, but I will say this. His book, The Night Shift, I would say if you're even unsure about testing out any one of his more conventional books, which is personally where I would say you should start, and I will give some recommendations as well. I would say his book, The Night Shift, has a series of like 6-7 short stories that he's written that I would say is a good starting point. And the thing with that is some of the short stories in that book are completely independent new stories, while some stories in that book are continuations or side stories from his other books. So that may throw some people off. That's why I would not recommend people start with the short stories.
You know what, it's just वो इतना लिखता है कि मैं परेशान हो गई हूँ कि how do we handle it, इतना लिखा है उसने. Because I mean when you said
it's overwhelming,
2 to 3 you know 2 to 6,000 words a day, and I'm like इतना तो मैं report में भी नहीं लिखती अपनी, तो now that is kind of, you know, feels like कैसे लिख लेता है इतना. And that's something कि वो इतने time से लिखता हुआ आ रहा है. I mean the work ethic of this person, oh god, I mean that's inspirational. I mean रोहिल आप भी कोई दिमाग में 4,000 की at least words की story बना रहे हैं?
Nope. I'm just.
Are you sure?
I'm still in on how he does it. Like it's very overwhelming. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Just by the law of averages, not everything he's gonna make is gonna be a hit.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
just by volume, there's the chances of you finding something that works for you is very high. Like he's written a book about almost anything you could possibly fear. If you fear cars, he's written 2 books. They're basically what if cars were scary. He's written books about what if dogs were scary, what if dreams were scary, what if Oklahoma was scary, like what if vampires were scary, what if clowns were scary, what if aliens were scary. Like he's covered every base there is.
Is there something that you fear and he has written a book about it?
Well,
okay. You can just go with yes or no, it's fine.
Okay, so the thing is, and I've spoken to you about this, The Shining, which was the first Stephen King book I wrote. So everybody knows The Shining is a very famous movie as well. Though I would say the movie and the book are very, very different, though both are really good. So the thing with The Shining is essentially a story of just 3 characters in a secluded hotel in the mountains in the winter.
Yeah.
So there's a thing about isolation and just pure seclusion and just being stuck in one place with a couple of people. And I feel like the way he delves into how isolation can foster just a person's descent into insanity, that one kind of stuck out to me. Other than that, I guess It is something we can all relate to. It also a huge inspiration on the hit Netflix show Stranger Things, about a group of kids getting together to fight a supernatural being. I hate clowns. Who likes them? You know, and again, creepy clowns.
I kinda do.
Understandably. So the thing is, creepy clowns don't work, and he's definitely written about those. Other than that, just going off of what I've read here, there's even a book about a virus pandemic, which I guess is very timely, that he wrote back in the 70s. I haven't read it, The Stand, it's right here. I haven't read it yet, but I mean, there's that. So
there's everything.
I would say the one that's had the most lasting impact, though it's not my favorite Stephen King book, I would say it's The Shining. Simply because now every time I go in the hotel, I look at both the hallways. I'm like, oh my goodness.
ज़्यादा इसने स्टीफन किंग की किताबें पढ़ ली हैं, ठीक है. हालात कभी भी खराब हो जाए कोई भरोसा नहीं है.
My words are sharp enough. I don't need any object.
No, they're just attacks apparently. Anyways, but like, yeah, I tried. You मैंने आधी पढ़ ली है, ठीक है. The Dune, I'm just gonna watch the movie. ठीक है. He is the one who suggested me this idea. So also, considering खुद ने सारी स्टीफन किंग की किताबें नहीं पढ़ी हैं, ठीक है ना, तो when are you planning to read those? हाँ, considering that you have those books.
Well, firstly, I got gifted some of these, like in
Oh.
bulk, so there's that.
Nice.
Secondly, the thing is, I just recently read one Stephen King book, but
Which?
this one right here, The Dark Half. It's upside down.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's
this
alright, it's
is,
alright.
I would say, this is probably the closest Stephen King has gotten to a slasher, which is my favorite horror genre.
Oh God.
But it's not really a slasher, but it's probably the closest one he's gotten to it.
Gotta
but-
remove mic away
But
from him.
to your point, when I intend on reading these, the thing I mentioned at the very start of this session is I like to change gears with every book I read. I don't want to get
Yeah.
tunnel vision. So if I read something horror, I'll change to something more of a period piece, like Pride and Prejudice. Then I'll change it again, and I'll read something more contemporary, like
Because that's fun. Because ऐसा होता है ना कि आप एक ही genre बार पढ़े जाते हो तो फिर वो आपको एक effect उसका जितना intensity उसकी कम हो जाती है.
And then
That's nice.
I am a huge believer in that you should enrich in your own palette. You should try different things. You will not know
Definitely.
whether or not you like something until you've tried it. So, for example, I wanted to try out spy novels and action novels because I wanted to see how could something that is such an inherently visual thing, action, be translated into a book.
Yeah.
And I read a book called Mission Critical. I did not like it. I did not enjoy it. But at least I can say, look, I tried a
You tried,
contemporary
yeah,
spy novel and it didn't work for me. But the point being, I like to change things up every now and then. So maybe I'll read my Stephen King book in the next round. Right now, I'm reading a psychological thriller about a married couple that
my
are a
God.
serial killer.
Look, which one?
It's called My Lovely Wife. Just saying that out of context makes people think I'm reading something very different.
Yeah. And
So I have to be like, no,
nice.
you don't understand. It's not about that. They're killing people. Okay, it's fun.
Oh look, I am gonna put that statement on the record. He said it's fun. Chicken. And next time he says,
I will say
something
this,
about
it is a very dry thriller. Like, it's not as exciting as you'd think a married couple being serial killers would be. I'll say that. But that's besides the
it
point.
doesn't matter because you just like 3 seconds pehle you just said it's fun.
It is.
Look. How
I
fun.
enjoy it a lot.
Oh my god. My
You still more fun though. Because there you
Oh my God.
you see the preparation and everything.
the guy ended up in I don't know what box was it, IKEA, yeah. That's that. I gave a mini spoiler that you will only find if you're like बहुत गौर से अब किताब पे वाकई फोकस करके पढ़ें. जैसे रोहेल ने ज़्यादा स्टीफन किंग की किताबें ज़्यादा ही फोकस के साथ पढ़ ली तब हालात ख़राब होने को आ गए. ठीक है ना. तो I mean I have this urge of moving that mic away from him, but like I don't know कब slasher mood पे आ जाए. ठीक है.
No. I just really like the mic.
Oh my God, ठीक है.
Really
वहीं
nice.
तक ठीक है. वहीं तक ठीक है. वो उसी रेडियस में आप माइक के साथ हैं अपने. ठीक है. अच्छा, so Rahel, if someone were to try, सबसे पहले I think you all, I mean you like Shining a lot, right? तो अगर किसी को पहले कुछ
Shining's really good, yeah.
तो अगर किसी को स्टीफन किंग की कोई बुक ट्राई करनी है, like they just want to try, like पूरा नहीं कि वो genre में चले जाएं कुछ भी, तो which one you prefer?
Well,
most?
firstly, I would say that you should go through Stephen King's bibliography to see if there's any one specific topic that interests you, and then maybe you can just jump right into if he's written about it. If you were to ask me, I would say firstly stick with early day Stephen King. I have not read a lot of Stephen King novels of like contemporary Stephen King novels. The only one I've read is The Institute, which is a sci-fi kids novel he wrote in 2019. I hated it. But
I was about to smile. अच्छा वाला
and I found that he lost a bit of his edge. But that's just based off of one book. You know, I've read a lot of his older stuff, so I have a better sample size. I would personally say to go with Salem's Lot, which is his third book. It's really strong. It's probably my favorite Stephen King book. It is long. It is about 600 pages, but I
Oh my
finished it in a week. I flew right into it. It just went by. Because the thing with Stephen King's writing and the thing that makes him really popular is that his prose writing style is so strong and it's so effective and it's so clear cut. He only sometimes he does get way too, descriptive to the point like, okay, Stephen, I get it. Move on. And I bringing it back to the Dark Half, which is a book I did enjoy, but I felt you could have maybe cut 20-25 pages out because it just got way too descriptive. I'm like, I get it. But with Salem's Lot, there's just so much more going on because it has like 6 main characters. It has a town, and the town itself is very much its own character. There's a building thread throughout the story. The drama is really tense. So I thought, even though it's 600 pages, I've read 200 pages books that were more of a slog. This book flew by. I think this is quintessential Stephen King. And here's the thing, I don't expect anybody to read it. It's what, 1,000 pages. It's really inaccessible in my opinion. So I would say Salem's Lot and The Shining are probably your best bets.
Lot and The Shining. And what about वो जो, I mean, जो कब के पीछे हैं तो?
These two?
Yeah, what about those?
So The Stand is another hugely famous Stephen King novel. I think this is also early day Stephen King, maybe his fourth or fifth, maybe his second, but it's like one of his first 5 books. So this one is basically, it's a fantasy post-apocalyptic novel of a wasteland Earth after a virus pandemic had ruined Earth.
Oh, it's that virus.
Yes.
Then. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
but it shows the aftermath and how basically Earth became a wasteland, right? And it's a very, very famous novel. It's huge, as you can see. Not something I would recommend to normies. And then The Tommy Knockers.
Yeah.
I think he wrote this when he was on his cocaine fuel. It's essentially, I don't know the exact gist, but it's what if dreams were scary? Like, that's the elevator pitch.
And look, I already like it. And also the book before this, I think that's nice. The virus के after effects जो भी होते हैं, because you know usually जो movies में और जो dramas में the books में होता है कि you know they're like कि virus introduce हुआ, either they're like trying to stop it या फिर जो उसका चल रहा होता है कि you know जो virus फैल रहा है, so how they're trying to control it, या फिर you know अब फैल रहा है लोगों को कैसे manage करना है. But like it's such a nice you know turn कि उसके बाद क्या हुआ, like अब तो तबाही मच गई, you know. So
yeah, but like this is more of a fantastical approach of how, you know, Earth got divided into different factions, and it's very much akin to, if anybody is familiar with Mad Max, the movies.
Oh yes.
It's more akin to that. No insane cars, but like general gist is that. And otherwise, if any of you are by any chance interested in non-fiction as well, I would also recommend Danse Macabre, which is a book he's written about writing. Like, if you want to get into writing and learn how to develop your own style, I mean, you could think there are worse ways to go than this guy. So, I mean, he's written 1 or 2 books about writing. I have not read Danse Macabre. I've read a little bit of it.
And how did you like it?
It's really good. It's really good. You can see his passion really emanate. Like, he really wants to tell you to how to just get onto a typewriter. I mean, in his time, a typewriter, and just start letting out all that you want. Now, again, his style may not work for you, but it's something to, you know, kind of get the gears in motion.
Not all can manage the dose.
Yeah. And one more thing, speaking of non-fiction, he's also written another book that I thought was actually quite good, and I haven't read this as myself. It's a huge book, another 1,000-page book.
Oh God.
It's basically, again, but this shows the diversity you get when you get into Stephen King. Is that he wrote it in 2011, so it's a fairly recent book given his tenure.
Yeah.
So, and I heard it's great. It's basically about a history teacher in 2011. He meets a time traveler who's about to die. The time traveler gives his device to the history teacher, tells him, go back to 11/22/63 and save JFK from being assassinated. And I've heard,
oh my God, what guy.
And that's like a pure time travel sci-fi adventure story. Yeah. It's 1,000 pages. I've heard there's like a huge romance subplot as well.
Nice.
And it has a lot of Easter eggs with other Stephen King novels as well. Like, so like the time traveler dude, like he stops by during the events of It. So like there's an Easter egg for those of you who have read it, you can pick up on that. So I mean, this just goes to show that Stephen King, there's a reason his movies and his stuff gets adapted, why so many famous projects are influenced by his work, and why he is still going to this day. I mean, there's नाम की एक वजह है, ऐवी नहीं है.
बिल्कुल, ऐवी बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. Inspiration होनी चाहिए to write my half of my report at least. Usually 5 से ज़्यादा max नहीं करती 1,000 words से. But okay, that's nice. I mean, एक तो so like कोई दूसरी books हैं जिसमें like time traveling का जो concept हो. So are there other books जिनमें you know not like कि पूरी time travel के बारे में हो, but like थोड़ा सा कोई element हो, because people do enjoy this, लगता है you know time travel books, they find it very fascinating, the whole genre. Stephen King के अगर हम उसमें देखें,
well, he's played around with a lot of genres. I don't know specifically about anything time travel related, but he, like I said, one book that I do intend on reading that I have is called Billy Summers. I alluded to it earlier in the session that he wrote a hitman crime drama, and it's basically a story of a former Marine turned hitman who now no longer wants to be a hitman. And then he's sent out on one final job. They're like, okay, just kill this one guy and then you're done.
ये हमेशा सबका इतना मुश्किल task ही होता है इसी किताबों में.
But then the thing is, funnily enough, he realizes, hey, I actually enjoy writing. I want to write books. I want to be an author. I don't want to kill people anymore.
Yeah,
So
that's nice.
So I mean, that's an example of
What a turn.
That's an example of him playing on the crime drama genre. The Institute, while I wouldn't recommend it if you're into Stranger Things and the whole idea of young kids with telepathic abilities and being tested on, and a lot of the stuff that you saw Eleven deal with in the show.
Yeah.
If you're interested in that, maybe the Institute's more your speed. I don't recommend it personally, but I mean that's an example. And besides that, I think you'll find a lot of more diversity in his short stories. Again, a huge example being like
I think
Shawshank
I have
Redemption.
to start reading those. You know what? अगर किसी ने पढ़ी है, especially any viewer, रुहेल यहीं पे होते हैं. हम आपको रुहेल के डेज बता देंगे. आपने जो शॉर्ट स्टोरी पढ़ी, you have to remind him. जब भी आपको कैंपस में नजर आए कि इसने खुद ने शॉर्ट स्टोरीज नहीं पढ़ी, ठीक है ना, तो ये होस्ट को नहीं कह सकते about other books.
Don't worry about it. And if you do come up to me, I do appreciate it. मेरी लत बढ़ेगी क्लास में. यार लोग आते हैं यार इसको देखो.
Oh my god, but like okay, apart from that, इसका भी थोड़ा स्टीफन किंग पढ़ के थोड़ा सा भी डोज इसका जो है ना.
But like the thing,
but like,
yeah, sorry to interrupt you. But the thing
Yes.
with me pushing for Stephen King is that I generally just want people to read more horror. I want people to read more genre storytelling. I don't think, because देखो एक चीज है, किताबें पढ़ना बहुत अच्छी बात है, बिल्कुल सही है, लेकिन with movies, with video games, with books, any art medium, I feel like अपने आप को फालतू में क्यों रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर रहे हो एक ही चीज देख देख के, तुम्हारा खुद ही उस चीज से दिमाग पक जाएगा. I mean like ये कॉलिन हूवर वाली फैक्ट्री से निकल जाओ. I'm sorry I keep bashing her, but like it's true. उसकी फैक्ट्री से निकल जाओ, बहुत कुछ है. तुम्हें जेन्युइन कोई रोमांस लिटरेचर पढ़ना, there are so many better options. Like just try other stuff. You yourself will benefit from it.
yeah, but there are people, the main reason they actually read into those books is because there's this genre that is, I guess, very popular nowadays. It's dark romance, ठीक है ना. So like for instance, अगर I actually love Pride and Prejudice, right? And
Use dark romance.
No, I'm just telling you, but it's not like बिल्कुल उस sense में नहीं जा. So like there are so many books.
So what?
like
If there's killing, it's not dark romance anymore.
He's back into the killing factor. Please, for a while, forget about that couple who likes killing, even though you said it's fun.
I'm talking about you, not even that. आप देखिए इंटरव्यूअर मेरी बात भी नहीं सुन रहे.
Oh my God, I am listening. I keep on trying कि दूसरे books का
You got
बताओ.
caught on 4K.
4K. Oh my God. अब आज पता नहीं मैंने क्या जनस कुछ कह दिया होगा किसी को.
Yeah, dark
आके
romance,
परेशान
no,
किया. I was, but like people like that genre. So like Colin Hoover वगैरह के उन characters के साथ क्या क्या personality में उनके issues होते हैं, and then क्या कहानी चल रही होती है. तो maybe people like that genre, so they want to. इसलिए, and because लोग generally, जैसे for instance अगर तुम्हारी बात हो तुम्हें पढ़ना है, like you are mentally like prepared, like I want to read this, I want to try this genre, कुछ भी. People just usually they randomly pick books, like we feel like reading या कुछ भी ना. And also the things like Goodreads वगैरह, अगर आपके स्टार्स में, मैं नहीं follow that even, तो ये popular books
TikTok book recommendations, Instagram book recommendations, very popular. Yeah.
I remember there was this time कि वो आप TikTok खोलो बस, okay, I would follow the book pages वगैरह ऐसी चीजें ना. वो and okay, the covers, they're pretty, the first, usually many लोग वो people they have this कि अगर the cover is pretty, they go for the book. Oh my God. And अपने उसमें reviews में बताया, oh my God, the book cover is so pretty वगैरह.
And I don't want to diminish that book covers and how the book's presented is very important. As somebody who collects books, I will pay the extra $1 or extra 1,000 रुपए अगर एक genuinely अच्छी quality की किताब मिल जाए मुझे. I bought The Invisible Man, not a very proud purchase, but H.G. Wells' Invisible Man, which was about 100 and something pages. I bought it for 2K or maybe more because it had like, firstly, I forgot which publishing house it was, but it was like gold covered and everything.
Oh my God,
it was like so well made. I was like, this is a genuine collector's thing. I am getting it. So I don't want to your point, that is a valid point. I don't want to diminish the presentation of a book. It's very important. Like a bad presentation of a book can make me turn it off. There's only one book that I have done like a DNF, like I did not finish it. Funny enough, it was a horror book, which is called, it's called The Last Final Girl, I believe its name is, and it's a slasher novel.
It's in my TBR. Please guys.
There are a bunch of final girl novels, so the names can get back and forth. So I'll have to check maybe if it's the same as yours. So it's written by Stephen Graham Jones. which I've heard that he's a popular novelist in the
Yeah,
horror
I've
genre.
heard too.
I went on Reddit, on horror book recommendations. There's like a horror book subreddit. So I thought I'd try this one out because I like the premise of it. It's basically a slasher who dresses up as Michael Jackson and starts killing high schoolers. It's a good pitch.
I was not supposed
And
to.
it's 250 pages, so I'm like, I can fly through it. That is such a horribly written book. My God, I pushed myself, and I pushed myself through some bad books. Like, again, hot take. I hated Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I did not enjoy
आपको
it.
एक किताब से उम्मीद होती है और समटाइम्स ऐसा भी होता है कि यार मैंने इतनी पढ़ ली है तो या तो एक होता है कि मे बी टर्निंग पॉइंट आ जाए या तो फिर एक होता है कि यार मैंने इतनी पढ़ ली है सो जस्ट लेट्स जस्ट ट्राई टू गेट पूरी किताब पढ़ लेते तो लाइक डिडंट Dracula.
Okay, so the thing with Dracula is I wanted, this was like early days of me reading. I'm like, I really want to enrich in my palette. I want to read the classics, the big ones.
Yeah.
And I read Sherlock Holmes. I read Invisible Man.
Sherlock
I read
Holmes.
Jekyll and Hyde,
Oh
which
my
was not an easy read. Jekyll and Hyde ki English
It's
bahut mushkil.
not an easy read. Oh my god.
It's only 100 pages, so it's very short, but the English is like very
I
old
just
timey.
saw it वहाँ पे पढ़ी हुई थी अभी आर्मी कॉन्फ्रेंस में. It's a very short book. and I'm
बहुत छोटी, it's a short story, अखबार में publish हुई थी, लेकिन it's a very nice book, it's very nice, लेकिन English बहुत मुश्किल है, अभी से बता रहा हूँ, सही है?
Okay, thank you for that.
So the
Yeah.
thing is, with Dracula started off really strong, when Jonathan Harker goes to Dracula's castle and he's like, yeah, this seems off. Every day I wake up, this guy is a day younger, like this is weird, it's like, so that, I will say this, Bram Stoker's creation of like Victorian era London and Latvia and the whole gothic
Yeah.
environment, really good. But horrible book, my god. I remember मुझे रोना आता था जब भी मुझे किताब खोलनी पड़ती थी, आंसू 5 पेज पढ़ने के लिए आंसू निकलते थे मेरे, इतनी बोरिंग किताब थी. एंड में जो भी हुआ ओके डन करके फारिग कर दिया, लेकिन मैंने फिर भी वो खत्म कर दिया.
Yeah.
ये
That's
जो
the
अभी मैं
thing.
बात कर रहा हूँ ना, The Last Final Girl, the fatal error the dude makes, Stephen Graham Jones makes, he wrote the book in the
Yeah.
style of a screenplay, not a book.
Ah,
And
okay.
it's not edited in the style of a screenplay, it's
Yeah.
edited in the style of a book. So you can't tell कि हम किस passage से किस वक्त पे जा रहे हैं, dialogue कौन बोल रहा है. I'm getting nauseous thinking about it. I was like,
This is my face.
I'm done. And
I
the
got-
kills were not like for a slasher novel, it was insanely tame. Like I can
Oh
say
my
more
God.
graphic stuff. I can write more graphic stuff than he can. Okay, it's not hard. It's
Writing
not hard.
तक ही ठीक है.
It's not hard. So that is the first book that I have properly, with intent to not finish, put it down.
You still have the book, right? I mean,
क्या करूँ, फेंक तो नहीं सकता मैं.
नहीं फेंके आप किताब नहीं फेंके. It's just but I never knew like how could you like play आपका चला हुआ है. Okay, novel mix हो गया because I am actually someone who like reading plays जैसे Shakespeare के plays and like
Yeah.
I love the play.
It's a great
Macbeth
thing. I
etc.
think you should recommend more to your audience members to do it.
But yeah,
I
like,
tried it because it's not for like I want to read Shakespeare's plays, but I like tried reading what's a Merchant in Venice.
yeah, I like that a lot.
And like I'm like, I don't know if
You
this is for
don't.
me.
Oh,
Though I want to do like I want to read Hamlet, I want to read Macbeth, but there's also with Shakespeare there's such a unique element that I don't know if you get as much from reading it as you do from the play element.
yeah, because that's eventually a play.
उसका मकसद ही तो वही था ना कि play के
Yeah.
तौर पे रखा हुआ. So I don't know how much is lost in translation between the mediums there. So I mean I do want to read Shakespeare.
I mean, the reason why I personally got into plays वगैरह पढ़ने में because I had literature in O levels, right? तो मुझे पढ़ने ही पड़ते थे.
Gun to your head like पढ़नी है.
Yeah, and I love Macbeth. ठीक है ना? I mean, compared.
It's a great story. I've seen movies.
Yeah, compared to Merchant of Venice, so the first time I got the book was in
Macbeth,
grade.
Hamlet.
It was Merchant of Venice, grade 8 में थी, and I was just so confused. My brain could not pick up anything. And like Shakespeare की जो plays होते हैं, obviously उसकी time की जो भी English होगी, तो उसमें लिखे होंगे. अब मैं बेवकूफ़ों की तरह जो है ना एक word का meaning निकाल के, and we'd had to do this. अब तो it's great के spark notes वगैरह हैं, तो उस पे पूरा
I
आ
agree.
जाता है.
Huge help.
Love those.
I was reading Dostoevsky, Crimes and Punishments.
Yeah.
And that's philosophical fiction. It's a Russian book
Okay, I
translated.
cannot with the philosophy
Okay,
books.
so it's a Russian book.
Yeah.
It got translated in English, and you'd read a chapter, and you'll be like, मुझे A to Z समझ तो आ गया, मैंने जो भी अल्फाज पढ़ा है, but I feel like बहुत underlying themes and that just went over my head.
Yes,
So I just opened Spark
exactly.
Notes. I'm like, अच्छा अच्छा ऐसा भी होता
Yes,
है
अच्छा.
yes I know
Yes.
that I knew that
I mean, obviously, because आपने जब इतना मुश्किल टेक्स्ट पढ़ लिया है, तो you are not just gonna discredit or discourage yourself.
yeah, but like to bring the whole point around,
Yeah.
I would say breeders today have so many resources at their disposal to know what sort of books they should buy, to know what sort of books they should not buy. And I would also say कि तुम लोग को लोग को डरना नहीं चाहिए किसी चीज को ट्राई करने में. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या तुम्हें चीज अच्छी नहीं लगेगी ना. तो मैं तो ये कहूंगा कि I would say, and this is something I say about every visual medium, critical analysis is very important.
Really?
I'm not expecting people to go in and just be like, oh, you know, like this and that, and just be a full critic. I'm just like, भाई O level comprehension तो पढ़ी है ना, थोड़ा बहुत जो पढ़ा है, अगर मुझे तुम्हें किसी और को समझाना हो, क्या तुम समझा सकते हो उसको? इतना मैं मांग रहा हूँ लोग से. अगर तुम खबरें देख रहे हो, तुम मूवी देख रहे हो, टीवी देख रहे हो, किताब पढ़ रहे हो, गेम खेल रहे हो, कुछ भी, just understand to break down your thoughts a bit. And I feel like if you go on Reddit, on YouTube, there's so many resources that help you fine tune what it is you're looking for. So the chances of you being disappointed are even lower then, because you know, okay, the odds of me liking this are good because it covers every base. So sure, there's one book I looked up and I did not finish it. I did not like it. That does not diminish the fact that I did that same method for 10 other books and they all ended up doing really well.
And it worked, yeah.
It worked.
हमेशा तो look, nothing works all the time. I mean, obviously try करना पड़ता है. But like as Raheel said, कि इतने सारे sources हैं, in a sense कि there are so many like actual good आपके जो होते हैं, जो readers होते हैं, जो फिर reviewers होते हैं, जो अच्छे से करते हैं, like they would go through the whole book and then like, you know, there's just sometimes they're so nice that they're even going to tell you the themes वगैरह कि you know what's connecting what and like why you should read it, like without giving even spoilers, वो आपको अच्छे से समझाते हैं. And then there's also this कि अक्सर videos पे होता है, you see the book page or the cover and then it tells you the कौन-कौन से genres या problem आ रहे हैं, ठीक है? वो genres अक्सर mix हो जाते हैं कि वो genres के साथ plot का कुछ बता देते हैं and mix, and people often like, you know, for instance, I love crime books वगैरह, ठीक है? Even the shows. So when I see when कोई book पे लिखा है crime, तो automatically मेरा interest उसमें जाएगा. Yeah, and that happens. And sometimes because वो proper एक review होता नहीं है, तो often थोड़ी सी बड़ी choices हो जाती हैं. Because even with the dark romance novels, ठीक है ना, I read, oh my god, this one, they just tried haunting Adelaide. People love this book.
कहूँगा तुम rant कर लो इसके बारे में.
नहीं, I'm just telling you how it is. It was about crime, right? They say, yeah. But it was not. They just tried their level best to make the main character such a great figure. He was just mentally wait, let me find a decent word. Twisted something.
Like always, typical.
Yeah, the very typical one.
I know.
And then the books, they get the hype. You see the, okay, I do not see the cover matching with the plot. I'm sorry. I mean, but the cover is so pretty. Like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
What book are we talking about again?
Haunting Adelaide. You don't have to read it. I'm not suggesting you to read it, but it's about the cover and the way it was portrayed by all the TikTokers या कुछ भी जो reviewers हैं.
Author का नाम क्या है?
I don't even remember the author name. I don't even want to look up to the author again. Don't. You know, there was finally there was something good in the book.
नफरत भी है मैं author का नाम याद रखता हूँ कि कैमरा में देख के बताऊँ भाई कितनी बकवास किताब लिखी है.
नहीं, there was finally something good in the book, and guess what happened? Book खत्म हो गई. There is a sequel to it, and I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'm not even curious anymore. ठीक है, मुझे नहीं वो किताब पढ़नी. But the cover again, the cover is so pretty. There is this girl, पता नहीं क्या उससे निकल जा रहा है, and the background is black. The cover looks so really pretty. But then again, the book, because जिस तरीके से, and there is this channel, देखिए आधे reviewers, some are very professional, ठीक है, वो critically analysis करके बताएंगे. Some they just won't do it. Oh, we read the book, okay, fine, या कुछ भी वो छोटे-छोटे आपको words में लिख के दे देंगे. And people are often misguided, especially जो new readers होते हैं. So imagine if you are a new reader, या फिर when you try to, you know, get into the books, because I understand the philosophy कि, you know, trying new genres वगैरह कुछ भी. But how did you make those choices? Like कोई ऐसा कुछ follow करा, कोई resource वगैरह that eventually बाद में भी, not like शुरू में भी, like that eventually helped you?
Okay, so for me it was never that big of a deal to transition from genre to genre. I will say like the first time, like I would say it's really a matter of your own interest. You have to see for that first. Okay, so पहले तुम्हें देखा कि for some people they just genuinely they don't like the anxiety a horror book would give them. You know, like for example, so maybe they know they need to steer away from it. But for me it was like I welcome such an experience. Like if a book can, like here's the thing, if a book can make you experience different heights of different emotions, I feel like it has done its job. If a romance book, makes me emotional and makes me weepy, I mean, it did its job. If a horror book makes me feel tense, it did its job. So for me, it was like initially I remember Dune the movie was coming out. I thought this would be a good opportunity to read the book. So that was my first exposure to sci-fi. I read
just
The
worried I
Shining.
might get attacked anytime
So
whenever he mentions Dune.
नहीं अभी टाइम you're not worth it, no offense. तो it's
Oh
just
my
like
God. Thank
तो
you.
ये है कि अब मैंने Shining पढ़ी तो I wanted to watch the horror movie The Shining, so I was like I'll read the book first, and I read the book, and that was my exposure to horror. And then I read Bond, and that was my first exposure to like spy novels, and all of it stemmed from mostly my movie experiences and my movie interest.
Movie experience.
Because
Yes.
I still watch a lot of movies and television shows are my main visual medium. But then it slowly kind of seeps and leaks its way through to the point where you're like, okay, I read a book like this. Can I find a movie like this? Or I played a video game like this. Can I find a book like this? And it kind of goes all full circle.
So you need that visual medium, right?
I would say whatever your medium. If you like a show in
Yeah.
particular, go on Reddit, go on YouTube, find. Can I find a show like X, Y, and Z? Can I find a book like X, Y, and Z? And that is an excellent starting point, I would say. Just find something you like. Go on Google. I would recommend Reddit. Reddit is super helpful in this regard.
Yes.
So just find, are there books like this movie or this show or this thing or whatever? And you're bound to find something. If you like K-dramas, there are plenty of novels, like even in that range, that you can find. I recently started watching K-dramas, and I'm like, is there a book like this or like that or this?
Which genre?
Which genre? Romance, obviously.
Okay. Did you search for any book or kumuli book aapko?
Yeah, I mean, I found a couple of books. I don't recall their names, but I've saved them.
But that's nice.
But the thing
So that works clearly.
Yeah. And the thing is, even if you find a book that you don't like, you want to read, but it's not available through like one of the legal tenders, like Liberty, for example. Instagram पे इतने सारे pages हैं जो आपके लिए print कर लेते हैं. खैर आपको quality का बहुत ख्याल रखना पड़ेगा वहाँ कि quality अच्छी हो. लेकिन आपके पास mediums बहुत हैं. Ultimately, it's all a matter, I would say, of discipline. आप अपने आप को discipline करने के लिए तैयार हैं? Are you willing to seriously take a risk? You may end up feeling like you wasted your time because it's a big investment, book reading.
Yes, definitely.
But you could also completely open a different branch, a different avenue.
Yeah.
आपके पास ultimately क्या होगा? Book पढ़ी different genre की, नहीं समझ आई, खैर है, go back to your normal stuff. अगर अच्छी लगी, great. You now have 2 different options. And then
That's
move from there.
nice.
You have 3, you have 4, you have 5.
More benefits than the
More
cost. Said by a BBA student. Elaborated by a BBA student, advised to be taken by a BBA student who loves horror genre. ठीक है, रोहिल अभी भी खैर अभी तो आप दूसरे genre पे हैं. Otherwise, I would have investigated kind of more, but that's all right. So रोहिल ने हमें वैसे सारी advices तो दे दिए कि आपको quality का ख्याल रखना है, how to get into the genre, and even not like just the horror genre. What he meant is कि try different genres and through the like proper आप उसको पढ़ के search करके, don't make the mistake I did like the cover, but so हो जाती है खैर कभी कभार. When he dropped a book, I think वो एक ही वाहिद किताब होगी जो रोहिल ने ड्रॉप की होगी.
Yeah.
Yeah, the face says it all. ठीक है. So Rohil, anything else that you would like to say that would like encourage people, because I believe you have given enough advices though, but like is there anything
I feel
else?
like I've given enough advice, but
Yeah.
if I were to say and just think about something is okay,
Yeah.
let's assume that you already have a medium, an artistic medium that you enjoy. Let's say you play video games or you play movies or you watch shows. If you're not willing to take the risk immediately on a literature standpoint, I would say grab a friend or something and watch a horror movie, and kind of just make sure you kind of just, dip your toe in the water. Don't पूरी छलांग लगाने का कोई नहीं बोल रहा तुमसे. आराम से. इसलिए मैं स्टीवन किंग को यहाँ लाया हूँ क्योंकि he, I would say, is the tip of the iceberg. He is where you start. This is as हल्का पुल्का as it gets.
Oh God, हल्का फुल्का is.
नहीं, अब इससे नीचे जाओगे ना उतना ही ज्यादा ग्रोटेस्क और हद से ज्यादा ओवर द टॉप हॉरर मिलेगा, इतना कि मेरे पढ़ने के लायक भी नहीं है. सही है.
Okay.
तो I would say कि nobody's asking you to go fully explore the iceberg. Just explore the tip, just try it out. Literally, you are doing yourself a favor. तुम लोग को खुद नहीं पता होगा कि तुम्हारा दिमाग कितना मुश हो गया एक चीज पढ़ के, एक चीज देख के, जबकि तुम जब तक कि कुछ और नहीं ट्राई कर लेते.
But there's one thing I want to ask. I'm kind of curious when you said that there was like there is this limit जो कि तुम भी cross नहीं कर सके when it comes to this book. Which book was it? Like, you know.
मैं तुम्हें ज़्यादा आसान हल बताता हूँ. There's a video.
Yeah.
It's a long video now.
Okay.
So I watched it over a couple of days.
Yeah.
So a dude, he I don't remember the exact title of the video, but it's something like the 1,000 most disturbing books ever written.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure you must have seen the thumbnail. So I watched that video, and the guy literally does like the whole iceberg thing, where he starts at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And tier 1 horror books have mostly Stephen King. Some of them reach tier 2, but most of them have tier 1.
They are in top OP. So
Yeah,
as you keep on mentioning, iceberg वाले tip पे ही है. ठीक है, okay.
But then the lower he goes, let's say the end of tier 2 to the start of tier 3, just the descriptions make you. And it doesn't help that a lot of the tier 3, tier 4 books happen to be based on true events, which makes them even worse. They're non-fictional horror books, like actual stuff to watch.
Definitely have to try. I love this idea. Thank you so much. ये दिमाग मेरे ज़हन में जो idea दूर तक.
Yeah, if you want, you can attach it into the description of the thing. You know, like the link to the video if you want.
Yeah, I think because I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna just ask them to attach it because that's
मेरा
nice.
schedule भी attach होगा, मैं link कर देना.
Oh God, भाई
Make it public रहेगा, I'm available here and
But that's nice. I mean, generally we have बहुत ही कम लोग हैं यहाँ पे who like are into this genre or even suggest this genre, ठीक है ना? And कुछ other
मुझे बस लोगों से मिलने का बहाना चाहिए यार.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Baby अगर student हो उसका ये नहीं मतलब like.
Yeah, we get
I
it.
know
Totally
friends.
not. Yeah. ZABMart is coming up. You're gonna make many friends. ठीक है, don't worry about
आना
it.
ZABMart. ये तो ZABMart के बाद जाएगा एपिसोड वैसे भी.
Oh हाँ, अगले ZABMart में आइएगा, ठीक है ना? I mean, or just be like ZABMart.
मार्केटिंग फेल कर देता हूँ ना, पर ZABMart कर.
जो ZABMart हुआ था, that was brilliant, ठीक है ना? Because episode
Yes, we broke insane profits.
Oh my God, such a crazy event, ठीक है ना?
All thanks to Isaac. कितने पैसे आपने खर्च कर दिए सॉल्व पे आपने?
पता नहीं आप
अभी से कैमरे पे बता रहे ताकि मेरे पास प्रूफ हो.
नहीं आप बता देंगे, हम उसके हिसाब से स्पेंडिंग कर लेंगे, ठीक है? कोई मसला नहीं है.
पूरा प्लान तो नहीं बता
नहीं, मैं तो तारीफ कर रही थी भाई कि वैसे I mean not gonna lie anything but like PBS students ZABMart में they go crazy and they put so much effort and like दूसरे भी जो मिल रहे होते हैं जो reading कर रहे थे ना, I'm like ZABMart के days के दौरान भी the reading and stuff and I'm like how do you do it? Because I mean that's crazy.
It's all a matter of discipline. Even if you read 5 pages a day, 10 pages a day, like the rate can fluctuate, that's fine.
Yeah,
but just make it an intent कि मैं थोड़ा सा तो पढ़ लूँगा. और मैं तुम्हें अभी भी चीज बता दूं, मेरे टेक्स्ट बुक पढ़ने का स्किल बेहतर हुआ है नॉर्मल रीडिंग से.
सेम, यस.
मैं अब टेक्स्ट बुक्स बहुत आराम से पढ़ लेता हूँ अनलेस दे आर एब्सोल्युटली हॉरिबल. एक कोर्स है, मैं उसका नाम नहीं लूंगा, उसकी मैंने बुक पढ़ने की जहमत भी नहीं करी, बट लाइक सोशियोलॉजी की मैं पूरी टेक्स्ट बुक पढ़ लूंगा, मार्केटिंग की पूरी टेक्स्ट बुक पढ़ लूंगा, एंड इट्स नो टेंशन फॉर मी because you build that mental discipline. You teach your brain to calm down and analyze the words. So again, it's a matter of discipline, and this is a skill. It will take you a long way. Like actual discipline को hone करना जिंदगी में बहुत काम आएगा.
Yes, I mean it helps with with the research papers. खैर मेरा तो नहीं से काम होता है, but like you don't have to go and understand.
Yeah, and sorry, it will also obviously it will improve your own writing skills.
Yes.
And you will not know it until you actually start writing it.
Again, take the risk.
Yeah. मैं खुद लिखना शुरू करता हूँ, I'm like, यार ये अल्फाज कहाँ से आ रहे हैं?
Yes, happens with me.
I don't know how I do this. I just surprise myself every time.
हाँ, ये तो मुझे लगता है रोहेल का तकिया कलाम बन चुका है. I surprise myself every time. ठीक है, खुद से impressed है माशाल्लाह से, but that's a nice thing anyway. But considering कि कितनी dark books पढ़नी पड़ती है रोहेल को, but I'm just like so glad and so happy कि तुम वक्त निकाल के आए just to discuss this genre because I love this episode. I mean, I've had other episodes, but मुझे हमारे कॉमन से genres होते हैं, ठीक है? किसी ने अब क्लासिक्स के बारे में बात कर दी, तो किसी ने पॉपुलर के बारे में बात कर दी, या तो फिर किसी ने अपना ड्रामा एंड फिक्शन एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. सो दिस genre,
Colleen Hoover.
Oh, it's not always. Oh my God, Colleen Hoover. Let the woman be. But okay. नहीं मैं कुछ नहीं कह रही, फिर से हो जाए कोलिन हूवर के बारे में. बट क्या थैंक यू सो मच रोहेल फॉर बीइंग हियर एंड वी रियली होप दैट यू लव दिस एपिसोड. अगर किसी ने बुक्स पढ़ी में, इवन इफ यू वांट टू सजेस्ट बुक्स, प्लीज सजेस्ट कर दिया करें कमेंट्स वगैरह में, ठीक है? आप लिटरली सोसाइटी के पेजेस पे जा सजेस्ट कर दें. दैट्स गोना बी नाइस बिकॉज वी नो कि व्हाट पीपल are more interested in reading because हर genre के हिसाब से एक छोटे तबके बने हुए होते हैं ना कि कोई वो पढ़ते हैं, तो it's always nice to try new ones and obviously that would be wonderful if you get some suggestions. And yeah, with this we are gonna wrap this episode up, and we'll see you in the next episode. Inshallah. Allah Hafiz till then.
Allah Hafiz.